One thing we're seeing a lot of is incredible self-absorption. And a lot of people think that narcissism is self-absorption. Oh, they're such a narcissist, right?
That's right.
Well, it's much more than that, though, it sounds like. Self-absorption sounds kind of garden variety compared to actual diagnosed narcissism. What's the difference between those two?
We think that people who are self-absorbed are just really full of themselves, but they're actually deeply insecure. So a narcissist is very, very deeply insecure. Now, how do you know that? Because they have massive defense mechanisms. So if you actually try to hold a narcissist accountable, or you give them even constructive criticism, any perceived criticism that goes against the narrative of who they would like to believe who they are, which is a false, fragile construct of who I would like to be, because deeply inwardly, I really don't like myself and I'm self-divorced from my inner being and I've deemed it incapable and inadequate. So I've created this cartoon character of myself, a delusional false self of who I want to be. Now, if you challenge that narrative that I need to emotionally exist, well, then I'm going to attack you, because how dare you take down my ego construct or challenge it in any way? So people that can be powerful and even, a little bit in hubris, but if they've got a solid inner identity, they can have a conversation, they can learn, they can be open to new information, they can see other people's point of view. Narcissists can't.
So why now? Why is this coming up so much now? And I have witnessed these relationships so destructive. I mean, especially when you have children involved and people can't disentangle, so destructive. But why now? Has this always been going on and we just didn't have a name for it, or we weren't looking for it?
Regina, it's hugely an acceleration, and the reason it is because we have an earthly construct which has been completely inverted. If you really want to get to the bottom of this is my humble opinion about what's happened here. Because first of all, what we had, or how it should be, is we had creator at the top. Call it source, God, creator. Right. Okay. Then we had the individual who was source filled. Okay. And connected to their true self and their true source. Then we had communities, which were about the wholeness and the oneness of source, self, and others, which came down. Now what we have is this inversion where we have source, God, thrown to the bottom. Then we have people who are disconnected from themselves and seeking outer stimulation and outer stuff, like taping sandwiches on yourself and feeling like you've had lunch. Right. The car, the house, the this, the that, the Gucci bag, the whatever it is, that I need that to have a self. That's narcissism. And that's the programming.
What about the notion is, as we've seen, was called truth. We used to have kind of common understandings of truth. I mean, everybody sees anything, whatever the subject is, slightly differently, but we always had a somewhat common understanding of what truth was. And as we've seen in recent years globally, that has become unhinged, where truth has become a matter of opinion and fungible. Do you think that has anything to do with feeding into this?
Yeah, hugely, because the programming and the indoctrination is all about a particular narrative, and that narrative is pushed, and any dissenting opinion in regard to the narrative is censored and punished. And that's exactly what narcissism is.
Okay, so if you're involved in a narcissistic situation, like you said, you thought this was Prince Charming. And there's this whole notion that I've read the term love bombing. How do you end up so addicted to a narcissist so that people can, if they come into something they feel is just a little bit amiss, you can start seeing the early signs of this?
What happens is narcissists are very, very skilled. It's like the Trojan horse in Troy that gets through the gates. So what happens with a narcissist is they're very intuitively tuned and they're very, very good at fact finding. So let's say, for example, you have a narcissist that's on a date with somebody. The narcissist will ask them, what happened in your previous relationships? So if this person was to say, well, I got cheated on and with my best friend and my husband, or, and this narcissist will lean inwards, look them straight in the eyes because they are pathological liars, and mimic their body language and feign concern, intimacy, and care, and say, I can't believe how people cheat on people. I've never done it. I'm completely monogamous, right? And I would also be honest and work on the relationship before I would consider doing something like that. So what happens is the person who is very wounded in a particular area still, all a narcissist has to do is identify the wound and pretend to be the savior of it, and creates an intense bonding moment.
Mm.
Now, this can work for anything. Let's say you felt invisible your whole life and nobody hears you. Or let's say you felt enmeshed and engulfed and controlled and not trusted. Then the narcissist is plasticine. They're a chameleon. All they have to do is pretend to be what you're looking for. And then you feel like a man or a woman in a desert who's just found your oasis. So you feel like you've hit pay dirt. And this person gets in very quickly, and a narcissist needs to enmesh and ensnare narcissistic supply very, very quickly because there's already stuff going on in their life. They're low on narcissistic supply. That's why they're on the hunt. They're a predator. Or they're already with somebody and the cracks are happening and that person's trying to hold them accountable, or they've siphoned them out and destroyed them and they need new narcissistic supply. So they're like a crocodile looking for a new carcass to jump in onto.
So they generally go quickly from one relationship to the next because it's like an energy supply?
Correct. Pretty much, like I have an expression, they're already with the next person in the time it takes to boil an egg. Usually this person is already being set up on the side anyway, or they're just doing casual sex or mining people or whatever before, but it doesn't take long generally. It really doesn't.
So what happens? So you're in this relationship, it's becoming abusive. You have to be able to see that this is happening. How does a narcissist keep you woven into it once you recognize something is terribly wrong? Why do people stay to the point where they're destroyed?
It's trauma bonding, Regina, and it gets back to that original wound of I'm cheated on, I'm ignored, I'm invalidated, I'm enmeshed with, I'm controlled. Okay, because what happens is we've got some big, deep subconscious plays going on in here. And that's really the basis of relationship, is not what we're thinking or we're even trying to do. It's what's going on in our beingness. So the narcissist, let's just use the example of the monogamy person. So you think, oh my God, I've got the most monogamous relationship going on. So the narcissist, so they think, I'm home, I'm safe, thank God. Here I am, this is perfect. So you've already got that construct, which you're going to project onto that person. This is my one and only. Then what happens is this person, the narcissist, will start striking you at that wound. Maybe they start flirting. Maybe they start hiding their phone. Chances are they are absolutely going to be somebody who's not monogamous. They're just not. So you start sensing things that are not right. You start panicking, thinking that you're losing the dream. Plus, you're already getting this old wound ripped open again. But really what's happening is we're attached. We are not self-defined. We're outer-defined. So we're trying to get the narcissist to return to being the savior of our wound. And really unconsciously what's going on is, can you, whoever the original person is, the father, the past lives, what's in your genetic history, can you please do it differently this time? Can you please do it differently this time? So we get smashed to the point of And I've seen it time and time again. Women that are running and men running this program, the narcissist could have played up on them 30 times in their face and they still can't let go because you are trauma bonded to this person trying to force them to do it differently this time.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you might also want to consider joining Patreon, which allows me to keep all of this content free and available to everyone. And if you're looking for like-minded souls, you might also enjoy my online community called Our Neighborhood. Links to join are in the description.